my start is a really silly start that I won't go into all of it, but I know how tall I am. I do, but I did come to New York because I wanted to be a ballerina. Getting to know people, getting to know what makes people tick, getting to hear what moves people, what makes you laugh, what makes you cry, is just a human strength. So that's one of the things I love about casting, is when you read a script or a story or whatever, and you hear the voices when you read it. You know, one thing I'll say, and I'll probably jump, but I always told people if you could be a reader, it would be a great experience, because everybody wonders whether you want to be an actor or whatever, why I didn't get that job. And when you see the different interpretations, it's just a curious thing in life. It's how differently everybody sees everything and how they hear everything. So that's one of the things I love about casting. I also love the idea of groups communicating together. You know, for me to be able to read a director's mind and to be able to communicate with a producer or even an agent, you know, is just kind of a wonderful thing in life, that you can share all different ways of looking at something and hearing something. I started in advertising from a kind of a funny story, and did print advertising. And then I reached a high level very quickly. I was head of international advertising. There's actors now, you know, Matthew Broderick didn't get the Bubble Yum commercial. And I was like, well, then I've got to get out of here, because they don't see who's good.
Right.
And, you know, so-and-so didn't get aftate. And I'm going, I got to get out of here. So I knocked on every door in New York, did not get a job, and started doing extras with a woman who's no longer with us, but had Joy Todd. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, that's how it is. There is. But
Right.
and I climbed my way, and then I did location casting, and I worked with. And John Sayles called me and said, "Come do Mate Juan," and then I was lucky enough to meet Jodie Foster to do Little Man Tate, and I kind of climbed the ladder. Location casting was a brilliant eye-opener, because Mate Juan was about coal miners, and I just said to John I wanted to go around and speak to the coal miners to find out what they did and what their lives were like. And then I cast, you know, non-speaking and some speaking, and then I went on to do 8 Men Out and then cast speaking roles. I picked up Heath at a hotel and a car to introduce him to Aang. And he told me, actually, that he felt like he had done so much good work that wasn't being recognized, that something was wrong, like something wasn't connecting. And he was now going to work just with directors he wanted to work with, kind of versus, you know, the scripts that he fell in love with. He felt like, I'm going to go to that director and trust him, and I'm going to go to that director and trust him. You know, it's like back in the day, there was a newspaper called Backstage, and I would tell people, I would say, you know what, go buy a Backstage and audition for every single thing you see and just see what pops. And I guess it's social media now, and I'm so bad at that. But do everything you can do. Take every opportunity, and you know, because there's no knocking on the door. You know, I never, television's new for me, but this past maybe 5-6 years, and I've been lucky enough to work on good television, really smart, good material. Right. When you're working on television, things are very fast, and so what I do is when I read a script, I find out which roles are going to be an offer and which roles we're going to audition, We pull material. If I'm doing list, it takes me a lot. I put a lot of time into those lists because the different voices are you want to hear everybody who's speaking on camera. You actually want to hear them. You don't just want to, oh yeah, I know him, and kind of think about what you're having for dinner. So I put a lot of attention into that, and it's been upsetting since COVID because I'm not in the room with actors like I used to be. And one upsetting part of that is sometimes if I'm talking to a director and he kind of said blah, 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 and then if they winked and blah, 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 and then I'm thinking, oh, wow, if they winked. And so if somebody's in the room and I'm going, can you just because I like to give the director what the actor does, and then I kind of play with things to see where they can go. Mm-hmm. But if you're not in the room and somebody's virtually taping on their own, you can't give them that wink message. Yeah. I just get frustrated when I know the actor can do something that the director's not seeing. Yeah. So, and I know this sounds silly, but there are no small roles. There really aren't. If you read something and it's 2 lines, but you feel like, oh my gosh, you got to do it. So getting your foot in the door and showing people what you can do is separating one from the other. Trust yourself is a hard thing to do. I mean, I know there's films I did 20 years ago that I was fighting for actors, and some directors, it has to be their idea. I remember a producer once saying to me, if you make him think it was his idea, you'll win. I was like, how do you do that? But you have to read people. Right. Use your gut best you can, but trusting your gut's not easy. So when I did extras, it was a really hard job because you get a call from the AD, the assistant director, at around, this is 100 years ago, at 11 o'clock at night, they would wrap and you'd get a call who they need tomorrow. And everything's so different now. I'm going in the dark ages. But with Joy Tot, you had literally file cabinets of pictures. Right. So a lot of times other people who worked there would just get a pile of pictures, just call them who's available tomorrow. And I'm sitting there looking at every picture. And of course they would kind of make fun of me because it was very important that I would read that scene and go, that person, It's the same thing with ensembles. Sometimes teams I work with just want to put them all together. And I'm like, no, you've got to start here and then it's putting the family together. How does that conversation continue? How does that live? How does that one work with the other one? So it's gut, patience. Yeah. But ensembles are important. I'm working on a show now, and the director's looking for a 15-year-old young boy, and he wants it to be social media, and I'm going, what? Why? And so, my team is putting it up so then I can just look at everybody, but I'm not following that world as lovingly is the old-fashioned world. But I will say that I just saw Cabaret, and the star of that, isn't he?
He started on American Idol.
Yes.
And he's great. And
yeah.
I think he's great. And I'm like, and I would have been a snob, I think.
Right,
I would have gone American Idol.
Right.
So don't be a snob.
Right.
So don't be a snob. There's something that that I read recently, and I was just thankful that I got it because I feel like it's full of joy and full of promise and full of magic, and I feel like right now we need that. So I want to, but I'll tell you, I have 2 children, and if I was offered really bad projects when they were growing up, I would have had to take them to put them through college. And I am so glad that nobody called me for those projects. Because
Give them the bad ones, right?
I would have had to do them.
Right.
And I would have, I don't know, I wouldn't have been invited today. I really like nice people. I really like nice people. Thoughtful, nice people. So sometimes I'll walk into a job and I'm saying to my team, oh, we're going to have a great time. And then a month later, it's like, when will this be over? You know, when I was talking about a reader, for me personally, I can only, obviously, someone walks, 5 people walk in and audition. And one of them, I'm going, oh my God, they just nailed it. How do I know they nailed it? I've been hired to know that nailed it. I don't know if they nailed it. I think they nailed it. So it's, you know, it's the magic. Yeah.
Right.
It's I don't want to say do the best you can. Don't push it. Understand what you're saying. Like, know what you're saying instead of reading it. And, only if you need things around you to use, but just looking at one, and I have this feeling that y'all know that people know kind of when they've nailed it. I have a feeling that you kind of know if you owned that. And even when we make offers to actors and they pass on a project, I want to hope that they know that it's not them, you know. So I'm going to give you all credit for like owning what you're doing. It's hard, and I tell you, it's really, I know how hard it is to walk into a room and do your best. So I hope that everybody on the other side is considerate to give you the freedom to feel like you can do your best. For these commercials, if somebody came in and I was like, oh my God, I think I would like buy that product, then you know, you feel like you have a strength that can use that strength, whatever that is, you know. If you're an equestrian and you jump, you realize that's what you're really good at, you know that.
Right.
Or I want to feel that we know that. You know.
Yep.
So the director for Basketball Diaries was a video director. What was it?
Music video.
Yeah, music video director. And he asked me to meet Marky Mark. And I did not have an office, and I had 2 young babies. And I said, well, if he wants to come over. So he came. And I sat with him for over an hour, and I fell in love with him. And I told the team, and they were like, no way, we are not working with Marky Mark. And I asked Leo, and they had dinner, and he turned into Mark Wahlberg.
Right.
And communication, you know, people were open. But, you know, and Brokeback was way before its time. And, you know, thank goodness Heath and Jake were open.
Right.
And, you know, and Shame was a real trip because the director, I only brought in maybe 2 or 3 people who would feel comfortable nude. And he was European, and he couldn't understand. And I was going, well, I can bring you a lot of people who will, but they're not going to be good. So I only brought him like a handful of people. So those are interesting. And Michael Fassbender, and I'll tell you this, what a sport he was. He was so lovely to every actress because he knew that it was uncomfortable for him. So he wasn't above anything. Because I did a show, oh my God, I can't remember the name of it. Fellow Travelers. Thank you. What else am I going to say? All I could think about was Matt Bomer, but and Jonathan Bailey, who I just literally gave them. I said to the director, I said I can only name one actor, Jonathan Bailey. I can't name anybody else for this role. I so believe in that. I so believe in that, and I know people have different philosophies about that, and the reason I so believe in that is how important it is now. And it's the director and the studio's choice whether they make that decision, but I feel like I have to present.
Awesome.
In our day and age.
Yeah.
So I have an associate and an assistant on each project, and I'm always curious, so I always make the choices, and then I go, who's going to say yay or nay, like, you know, and we all kind of talk about it. You know, with self-tapes, so many more people tape now. You know, I couldn't see 50 people in a day, but I can see 50 self-tapes in a day. And to be perfectly honest, there's got to be something that's drawing me in. Whether it's how you said your name, whether it's how you look, whether it's how you did, you know, something. But there's some way you've got to shine for that role. And now if I'm doing tons of self-tapes, and then if I'm not going to see somebody in person, I'm going to want to Zoom with them to audition them. So just to get a little closer and closer, because it's too tricky to see someone on a self-tape and then all of a sudden cast them. And we have done that tons of times, but it's a little tricky. You know, eating the scenery is distracting. It's just distracting. It's if you have, you know, a monologue to do and you've built it into 3 monologues. It's because you feel like you need to, or for whatever reason. I think simple is really, for me, and every casting director is different. So, you know, but simple for me means a lot. Doing less is hard to do. I love to do my detective work. I ask a lot of questions. Mm-hmm. I ask actors a lot of questions, which gives me the clarity if they know who this character is or how do they relate to this character. But I ask more. I ask a lot of questions. But don't be scared of, like, you know, there's never too much comedy or too much drama. I mean, it's like, it's opportunity. Right. And if you feel like you're being pigeonholed, so when in the beginning of my career, I did Searching for Bobby Fischer, Little Man Tate. I literally, it was just like, and I love kids, but I felt like that was all that was coming to me. And but no, you get past that. You keep growing. You keep growing. Don't you pigeonhole yourself sometimes. I think we do that to ourselves. You know? Personally, I feel like I'm always struggling with not seeing enough. You know, beating myself up, not seeing enough. You can only see so much. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Casting directors should go out every night and do everything and read every magazine and watch every show and do the best you can. and now there's like every streaming service in the world. It's like impossible. So, I also I hope to rely on contacts that I've made over the decades that call me to go, you got to see this girl, you got to see that person, you got to do this. I used to go to, I'm part of the International Casting Network, which I'm sort of thrilled. A long time ago, I was invited, and I used to go to Berlin every year to see the, shooting stars, which is every country promotes one of their actors, and then you vote.
Wow.
And yeah, it's called the Shooting Stars. It's the
amazing.
Berlinale. Yeah, and I used to go to Berlin every year to, I met Riz Ahmed, and he was cast, and so yeah. But those things, those are opportunities that rise. I was doing a HBO show, and I really wanted this one actress to get it. She didn't get it, but the next show I worked on, she got that one, and. But going back to really, so you remember people is what I'm saying,
Right.
But that's what we do. Yeah, it's like when I read the script, I had met with Jonathan Bailey 6 months before when he was, I was doing something else, and I remembered, and I was like, it's got to be Jonathan Bailey. So I'm still here. The foreign film. The actress is from, okay. And so she was passing through New York, and it was like, do you want to take a general? And I was like, absolutely, because she's extraordinary. And I just wanted to find out who she was, I mean, what a performance. I think we put the characteristics in the breakdown for hints to these agents. Number one, to who's available out of your lot, and number two, I kind of know there's certain agents that will just send everybody, and then some people actually read that characteristic and use it. So it's tricky what you said, because it's almost like varying off when you have a writer director and you want to stay on script. But I think showing a little bit of you with the characteristic is a very curious way to audition. Who I'm working with is actually important to me, but if I don't really know them and I read the script and I feel like it's a story that I really want to be part of, that's kind of all it is. I mean, I've been presented with a lot of films that death is a big thing. And I've been sent so many stories that have to do with death, and I'm going, what's going on? Like, you want me to keep working this through, man? It's like, so it's a lot the things that, it's like, if y'all are actors or writers or directors, what is it that you want to tell? What is that you're feeling when you read something? We're all such individuals that